Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. When COVID-19 struck the United States this year, companies had to pivot immediately, and that included school and the extracurricular activities they support, like sports. Joining me is Adam Blumenfeld, CEO of Varsity Brands, to discuss how the company helped with that transition. Adam, it's great to see you. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thank you, Jill. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
You got it. And as these companies and schools have had to pivot, I would imagine Varsity Brands did as well. Tell us about the impact of COVID-19 to the company and the businesses and schools that you support.
Well, pretty severe, as you can imagine. Schools immediately, when your customer disappears overnight, the kids are gone, the coaches are gone, the principals are gone. You have two choices. One is to go bury yourself in a hole, and the other is to pivot quickly. I'd like to think we did the latter. And we did. We have served up, as I'm sure we'll get into, a number of virtual tools and really leveraged the technology we built over the last 4 or 5 years to keep not just us engaged with these schools, but the coaches engaged with the kids at home, whether they're graduating or whether they just need them working out over the summer. Every effort has been around how do we create tools to enhance engagement, keep kids active, keep parents from losing their minds, and keep coaches and administrators in the game and ready to play when play is ready for them.
Well, it's interesting, Adam. We hear about education tech a lot right now. That's becoming a buzzword like health tech and fintech are. And I would imagine that the silver lining to COVID-19 is some of these trends have been accelerated, right? And now that we figured out how to pivot, how we're going to improve upon the experience. So tell us about Impact Now, what that is.
Impact Now is a way to take a program we launched 4 or 5 years ago, which is all about pride, spirit, and engagement on campus. So how we brand your school, how we get your kids involved in philanthropy, and how we really build character education through free content and free curriculum that we've developed for the school system. And how do we put that on steroids and make it applicable to, a COVID period of time? And so what we've done over the last literally 8 weeks is launch a PPE line of product and process that's taken some of our factories when they had downtime into a mode where we will have distributed by the end of this week close to $30 million worth of masks, signage, distancing instruction for outdoor stadiums as well as indoor stadiums, everything you can think of to help keep kids safe, healthy, and secure, in addition to this notion of driving pride and spirit. So we do it all on the back of a proprietary art locker, which means we're taking the custom logo from 25,000 high schools and those designs from colleges and high schools and integrating them into the PPE and into the branding tools that we use on the campuses, so that while you're staying safe, you can also focus on higher levels of pride, spirit, and student engagement on these campuses, whether they be virtual or in person down the road.
Yeah, it's quite encouraging to hear how COVID-19 has brought out the mission-driven, the purpose-driven for the younger generation that might not have had the opportunity to get as easily involved before. So again, as we continue to look through those silver linings. So Adam, my question to you is, what's your virtual outlook on the other side? Let's, 2021, 2022, when things get back to quote normal and we're able to be in the classrooms and travel and go to work and so forth. Do you think that virtual component is going to be here? It might be more of a hybrid environment?
Yeah, it's a great question. We have 2,000 sellers on the street. So when COVID hit, we had two choices. One was to furlough the entire sales force. The other was to keep them engaged. We kept them engaged, and we have taught them how to meet with 10 or 20 clients a day via Teams or Zoom versus 4 or 5 clients a day just face-to-face. So across BSN Sports, Varsity Spirit, and Herff Jones, our 3 main properties within the Varsity Brands umbrella, I think you're going to see a real hybrid to your question and what you mentioned. I think you're going to see sales personnel that understand that they're going to meet their clients where they live. And so clients, I think, whether they're a principal, a super, an AD, a coach, maybe it's a yearbook advisor, or maybe it's a cheer coach, they're going to value that time as much as we're going to value ours. And they're going to say, listen, I need you at 6 o'clock tonight to talk to me on Zoom versus I need you to come into my office. And so whether it takes 6 or 18 months to navigate the current COVID environment, I think you're going to see a real hybrid where people are conducting their business. We are, as are the schools, online as well as virtual, in-person, face-to-face. There's a tremendous value in being able to get face-to-face and have those meetings. But I have to tell you, as recently as this fall, we are going to have and have had the ability to effectively give you a virtual trade show. So you can see all the product you need for the fall. We can have a virtual fitting for cheerleaders so that we don't have to be on site with you and you can insert your numbers and we can actually fit you soup to nuts or bow to toe, as they say, and give you everything that you need for the season. And we've been conducting virtual graduations. So 1,000 virtual graduations this year where the kids actually get to move the tassel on their cap and really experience what it's like to see a keynote speaker and a valedictorian come up and say what they need to say. So I think you have to be positioned for both. I think there'll be a huge premium for companies that have invested in that technology and brought it to market, whether you're trying to do it in person or via a Zoom call.
Yeah, Adam, I would agree with you, especially when you talk about graduation, because typically for graduation, you can have, 2 or 4 family members go and have a ticket you have. But with Zoom and what we've learned to perfect it more virtually day by day and democratize access to some of these more intimate settings, I mean, why can't you have family around the world join? Why would you want that to go away when you're able to have, instead of maybe 1,000 people in an auditorium, you could have 5,000 people globally participating? That's just one thing with graduation. What if you could do that so grandparents around the world or family around the world can watch their kids play sports or watch their kids, on dance team or cheerlead team? It just seems like such a natural fit as we've learned to pivot and work with this technology so quickly and effectively.
I think there's no question about that. It's not going to surprise me to see college brands that we know, UCLA, USC, you name it, expand the size of their freshman class by 5 and 10-fold by having an option where you can come to school virtually and then earn your way onto the campus in your second or third year. I think you're going to see a whole sea change of how education, whether it's high school or higher ed, starts to work with the familiarity that people have with learning remotely and communicating remotely. And I don't think it's any different for us. We're going to be working hard with our partners to make sure that virtual graduations remain a thing of the future, but we want to kind of continue to enhance that in-person experience as best we can. And so, we're going to come back live and we're going to come back face-to-face, I think, across our industry and in the full spectrum of things. But you have to be positioned and ready to deal with both the virtual and the traditional side of life, because I don't think either one of these are going to be things of the past.
All right, Adam, appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You got it. And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.